Just as a review, a suspect is basically your trading area, whether it be a geographic or whether it be a certain industry that you're going after. It's everybody out there who could and should buy what you have to offer, but they know nothing about you yet. There are thousands of people who could buy what you have, but they just don't know about you. Where's your market, Jessica? Who's your suspect area? I'm going to pick on you for just a minute. Who's your suspect area?
Are there 2 million substitute teachers?
2 million in the United States. And how many of those 2 million know you, Jeff? That many?
10%.
Good. Really? You have 200,000 people in your database? Or?
That have come through, you know.
That's wonderful. This is a question you need to ask yourself. We talked about this last time. Who are you really selling to? I'm picking on you right now because you have a very niche market. Who is your trading area? Who's your suspects?
My suspect area is probably in South Davis. So definitely Bountiful, North Salt Lake, Woods Cross, Centerville, some of Farmington, a little bit of Syracuse and Langton, but at that point.
And how do you know these numbers? How do you know where these people are? How do you know that that's your area?
An email list and a customer list, and we're constantly trying to get new customers on that list, and that's where I see most of the addresses that are on that list.
You know, the way I view these workshops is that if you walk away with one thing, it's been worth your time. And today, the one thing that you got to walk away with that I'm going to push you again and again and again is you need to be a list builder. And there's 3 lists that you want. The one list, of course, is people that are giving you money. That's an easy one to have. And if you do not have that list, you should be intimate with those people. You should know what their likes are, what their dislikes are. Every time I meet with a client, I learn a little bit more about their life, and so I go into my contact management system and I write that information in there. Trivial stuff. For example, my biggest client, her son is in Bolivia on a mission and he's coming home on July 2nd. What use is that to me? Have you ever thought about that? What do I care? What if I'm not even LDS? I am LDS, but why do I care about that kind of information, that trivial stuff? Help me out here. Why would you care? It does. That's it. And that's the second thing I want you to take away from today. Again, we talked about this again, and if I keep on pushing the same thing again and again and again, if you can remember this rule about marketing, it is not about you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you sell. They care about themselves and what's important to them. So I have all this trivial pursuit type information that I save on people, and it is amazing how important it is when it comes up. I write dates in there. Sometimes I put dates in my calendar to send me an email to remind me or an alarm to remind me of something like her daughter's getting married on May 8th, but they're having the reception on May 7th. Interesting. I mean, I want to know that, and I want to be there for that kind of stuff. Today what we're talking about is when you have this suspect area, these people really have no relationship with you. However, you want to somehow get them into this category of being a prospect. A prospect is who our focus is on today. Come on in. There's always room for one more. A prospect is somebody, here's the definition. You got to expand your definition. A prospect is anybody who has contacted you. You have their information, or even their name only. They've contacted your business, and you are somehow storing that information. A prospect, and hold with me while I finish this thought, a prospect is anybody that knows you. It's the guy who cuts your hair. It's the people you go with at church. It's the kids that you work with at Cub Scouts. It's the soccer moms. It's the butcher. It's the person that you are standing on the train platform with every morning, and you just kind of basically nod and you know each other. We're on page 37 in a minute. It's everybody that you know. And that's why if you're going to leave with one thing today, you want to start gathering all that information and have a huge prospect list. Why do you want to have a huge prospect list if they're not buying right now?
Their potential.
What do you mean, Jay? What do you define potential? Potential for what?
Potential to become a client or a customer of yours. You want to nurture them, help them to learn more about your business, be able to do business with them.
How many names do you have in your base of prospects? Who has more than 100 prospects in their list of things? Who has more than 1,000? Do you really? Okay, these people have to know a little bit about you.
So we just got a couple of lists
Okay.
From people that already purchase similar products of ours and those that don't. We have about 2,000 medical office clinics that we can.
What do they know about you? Do they know you or do they know your company?
About half of them know the industry and already purchased from a competitor that we were affiliated with previously. We got the list from our previous affiliations.
I would still put them in the category of suspects because there's no relationship yet. One of the things that I like about the prospects is, and I'm drawing a picture here, is that if you saw them, they would recognize you. And the second symbol that I'm writing right here is a hand up. They've raised their hand and said, I'm somewhat interested in what you're doing. Someday I might have you. So I would still put them down here and put them in this category. We're going to talk how you can do that a little bit. We're not going to start on page 37. We're going to start on page 53 and work our way back. Turn to page 53. This is a key document. This is a key principle that I use when I teach people about marketing. We are in the middle column today. We're in the hot, warm, and cold. That's the prospect area. These are people who have made some kind of a contact with you, or they're your friend, or they're your neighbor. Let's say, Garrett, right? Is that your name? Yeah. Garrett, who is your ideal market? Define that person for me if you could.
Ideal market is somebody who's recently retired,
Okay.
family or individuals.
Someday your dad might fit into that.
Yeah,
But by years away.
yeah, many years. Or a local business to run their.
Okay, two different mindsets, you know. Okay, you understand that you have two specific. Is 80% of your market from those two, 80% of your sales from those two markets?
Yeah.
Where's the bigger market, the person retiring or the local business?
The individual and families right now is
What percentage of your business is individual families?
probably 75 to 80%.
How much money do they have to be making, or does that matter?
It doesn't matter.
Does it? Okay, so you got a huge funnel here. You got that's everybody. Okay, let's go down the funnel a little bit. By the way, this applies to all of you. You got to go down a little bit. Who's the ideal area? Who's the as we're working our way down to that ideal person?
Probably somebody who has anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 in a 401k plan that's looking to retire.
What percentage of the population has 150K plus in their 401k?
Probably less than 15%.
Okay, good. You see what I'm doing with you right now? Now, here's the question. I'm leading him on here a little bit. I'm just picking on him because I know a little bit about the financial industry. This is good. You came on a good day.
Or not.
It's a good day. Trust me, it's a good day. It'll be a good day. Because I have something I'm going to show you. It's really good. So if he's going after that 15% market, remember people that have 150K or more, that means that 85% of the people you talk to do not. Why would I care that your neighbor who is on welfare is on your prospect list? Don't answer that question. I want to let somebody else. Why would I care that that would be on a list of prospects? Remember, a prospect is somebody who's contacted you, which is ideal, or somebody that knows you. Think this through with me for a minute. Why does it matter?
Because they can be an influencer for people who are not on welfare and have $150,000.
It is really amazing what's happening in this world. Somebody told me that I'm like 3 steps away from Obama. That if I wanted to meet with President Obama, I could get there with 3 people. Is it 2 people, or how many degrees of separation are we? Have you ever thought about that? This person that is on welfare, the Mormon Church keeps on feeding her money. She's getting handouts from the government. She's on Obamacare to the max. Is not your ideal customer. She's got no money. We all want people with money. I mean, that's kind of the great qualifier here, is they got to be able to swipe the credit card or write the check or give you cash or Apple Pay it or however they do it. Why they should be on your list is exactly what Jared said, is that person may know somebody. It is really, really weird. Let me tell you a story. I moved up here from Southern California in 1995. And when I moved to Lehigh. That's where I live. And my neighbors asked, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Southern California." I should have said I had AIDS. I mean, I swear, I didn't know Southern Californians were so hated. I'm sorry. I'm from Southern California, and I'm proud of it. And I love In-N-Out Burger. We talked about that last time. I love In-N-Out Burger. And I go there every week. So before I came up, this is a story that's applicable to all of you. I had no clients in California. 100% of my clients were in Southern California still. But I had family living here. What I did is I got a list of prospects. I asked my mom and dad for all their neighbors because they knew me. They knew me. I looked up some of the old high school people that I went with at Orem High. I went to Orem High 1 year. I went to Kahuku the other 4 years. Kahuku's in Hawaii. It's near Hauula and Punalu'u. I told you that last time where it is. And if you went to Ka'ahava, you went too far. I went to Kahuku High School. But I knew some people in Orem High. That's the point here. And I had about 15 friends that I knew that were here in Utah, and I got their addresses. This is pre-email. Email was just kind of coming aboard in the 95-ish area. I only had maybe 70 people on my list. I wrote them all a letter with their first name on there. I wrote my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, former chums at high school, people that I played sports with, the lady who cut my hair. These are people that I've known that had no relationship to marketing. I didn't know if they owned businesses. I didn't know if they knew somebody who owned businesses. I wrote them a heartfelt, honest letter. And the letter basically said, "Dear Ken," and I'm going to pick Ken because he's my cousin. "Dear Ken, good news, I'm coming back to Utah." See, it's good news when I'm here. Good news, I'm coming back to Utah, and I haven't been here for a long time, and this is what I'm doing for a living. I help companies grow, and I do marketing, and I do advertising, and this is what I'm doing. And if you know of anybody that has a need for this, or this, just have them give me a call. And then I had an offer on there, for a free consultation or whatever I said. 70 people I sent that out to. 2 people called me up. One was Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis was my old doctor in Orem, and he was starting a new company. It was really an interesting company too. It was about how things go through your body. He's an actual medical doctor and how they come out at the other end. Very fascinating. Yeah, Hal, that's true. When you're over 50, you'll have a colonoscopy and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about, okay? There's a very few people in this room that have had one. The second person that called was Ken, who owned a company. My cousin. I didn't know what my cousin was doing. And I knew his home address, but he said, "Yeah, I've started a new company. We're doing over $1 million a year in sales, and I need somebody to help develop the brochures and the ads and the logos and things like that." Because I had a relationship with them. I am a big relationship marketer rather than transactional. We're going to talk about that next time a little bit more. But I had that relationship. So, back on page 53 here, I believe, and this is advice, this is just flat out advice, that your prospect list be huge. That you have everybody on there, but you've got to be able to divide them a little bit. You want to talk to somebody who owns a business rather in a different way than you talk to your cousin that has no business experience. On page 53, I believe you have in the prospect area, you have cold, warm, and hot. And I think that you should be focusing on the cold. Why am I suggesting you focus on the cold? Think about this for a minute. We all want the hot prospect. We want the guy that's got $150K in unmarked $1 bills, man, just right there. We want all the unemployed teachers to come to you and say, "We're going to be doing it. We got to do your course. I got 150 friends that are doing it." We want that. Who does not want hot prospects? I want hot prospects. Who doesn't want the guy who's going to make little bobblehead monkeys and order 1 million of them, right? That was me. And they ordered 100 though, but they're cute, aren't they? Okay. I am the one. Who does not want a hot prospect? Sure you do, Russell. You want people to call you up and say, "Listen, I got 10 employees and I got to fire 9 of them, and I know you could do it." By the way, he's good at firing. If you need somebody to fire somebody for you, this is the guy. Russell, what size of companies do you work with, by the way? I want to do a little ad on you.
5 to 50 employees.
Okay, if you got 5 to 50 employees and you have nobody over HR, correct?
Correct.
You got to talk to this.
They do, and that HR person needs some mentoring.
Okay, he's had more experience than all of you combined in the HR department. Okay, that's his expertise. So you've got this list of people that you've been gathering, and you've got to be able to categorize them a little bit. You need to talk to different prospects. I talk to you folks different than I do people that I've never met because I have a relationship with you. Why do I think that you ought to start in cold rather than hot? Help me out here. Let's have a conversation. Why do you think you start in cold rather than hot?
Well, I mean, this is proved out. Before I came to SBC, I ran my own consulting firm, and I started a seminar series probably 5-6 years ago. And I'd have to say most of my clients over time, as I was building up, came indirectly through that.
You just used a word over what?
over time.
Time, right. Did they turn into a client right when you contacted them in the very beginning?
A lot of times they would later on, someone would be there and a year later they'd refer someone to me, so I'd have a warm introduction. So, I mean, I almost never got someone directly from that, but indirectly, I received business where someone who I knew before, they saw me doing that over time, they said, oh, you guys, you are know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna come and talk to you.
Good answer.
I guess in my mind, I would see it as you're planning a field for the future.
Wait, what's the analogy you're using?
You're planning a field.
I love that analogy. I used to use the farming analogy. Keep talking. What do you mean planting the field?
Well, it's like seed.
Yes.
You're planning that it's not going to be harvested in the near future, but the harvest will come.
I got to stop and tell you my story on this. I forgot all about this. I used to use this as a training method. Your business is like a farm. Your house is in the middle of the farm, and all the little plants that are growing and dropping apples on your property are just right around you. And then if you go out a little bit to the next acres, you got these little seedlings in the ground. There's little green things coming up. And then you go out to the big field up in suspect land, and then you're going to want to start getting some of those growing a little bit. It's a very good analogy. Because all of us, we think that we spend our time harvesting and working with our clients, and next time we meet next month, you're going to feel really bad after the conversation because I'm going to tell you how you can improve the customers. But yes, it is like farming. I like to get the little saplings rather than the big tree. Why do I want a big tree? Why do I not want somebody who is about ready to buy right now? I do, but what's wrong over there, Bryce?
They're gonna be very transactional with you.
Very.
Very transactional.
What does transactional mean to you? What are they asking at that point?
Just price only.
I hate it. And if you get clients based on price, you're doing a bad job. And we're going to talk about what you should do instead of based on price. Why else do you want to start in the cold prospect land? Look at the cold prospect land. I may have a need for what you sell. For example, if I was a funeral home marketing company, that's where you got to start. You can't be an ambulance chaser at a funeral home. Can you imagine them sitting there reading the obituaries every day? It's probably too late by then anyway, but why do you want to start in the cold prospect land? Think about it for a minute. Keep giving me your answers. These are great answers. Why starting cold?
You build trust.
Over time you do. Try to envision that when somebody raises their hand and said, I may have a need for you, it's kind of like a couple of dogs meeting on the street. Have you ever seen that? This is very interesting. It's very scientific. It sounds kind of gross, but it's not. Dogs are checking each other out. They can, by their scent, tell what kind of a person you are. We're all like that, by the way. We're all very distrustful because we have too many shysters in the world. I'm working with a guy right now who owns a car dealership. How many of you love working with car dealerships, for example? Yeah, Chris, haven't you worked in the car business before?
I haven't, but
What do you think about car dealers?
well,
I didn't mean to
sometimes you wonder if you bought something as you leave, looking behind. But there are some others who are really good players that you'll call back with questions later on and you'll refer your friends to.
Yeah, rare. See, all of us are distrustful because of a lot of things in the world. We've been ripped off before. We just don't trust anybody. Getting this trust issue of starting them earlier is a good thing. What's another reason that you want to start in the cold area? I'm going to help you out. Yes.
You don't necessarily need anything from them right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'll maybe later, but there's no threat of they're after me right now. You're just.
It's like a bank. Have you ever noticed that a bank wants to give you money when you don't need it?
Yes.
And then when you do need it and you need some financing, you just can't get it. You know another good thing too about being, yes, Chris?
Now, as a recovering banker, the other side of that is.
therapy.
There's therapy, yes. But the other side of that is if you know how someone handles their credit before they have a bad time, you're a lot more comfortable lending to them in a bad time because you already know how they handle it.
There is a
So that's the
relationship. Do you remember the T word he used on me? The time issue. Do you know why I like hanging out in the cold area? It's because my competitors ain't. Take out a blank sheet of paper or get out your notepad or whatever, and I want you to write down, here's your assignment. I want you to write down what prospects are thinking when they first meet you. What's going on in their mind? What's the battle that's going on inside for your particular business? And I want to hear your answers. What are they thinking? What are their fears? Where have they been ripped off before? What are their wants, their needs, their desires, their concerns? Take a minute and do that for just a minute. I want you to write down everything that you know, what's going on inside of the mind of a cold or a warm or even a hot prospect, if you will. But what is going on in their mind in your industry? On page 38, I'm going to read you something that's in your book. To turn a prospect into a customer, you must enter the conversation that's already going on inside the head of your prospect. They're having 3 conversations before right now. It's kind of a before, during, and after. What's going to happen before if I buy? What's going to happen during the sale? And what's going to happen after the sale? I want to know what's going on inside their mind. Who would like to share their answers of the conversation that's going on in their mind right now? Does anybody want to raise their hand and join in? Mr. Steady?
So even though we train substitutes, our key person, decision maker, is the human resource director of a school district.
You know who your market is. That's really key, Jeff, to know who you're talking about. That's the person that writes the check or influences it at least, as Jared would say. Yes. What's going on in their mind?
Well, they have all these, right now they're hiring teachers, permanent teachers, so it's very hectic right now. They have to deal with letting some teachers go. They have to getting new teachers, permanent
Are you talking
teachers.
about right now in April or throughout the whole year?
Right now in April. And so they're dealing with a lot of employment issues. They're dealing with bringing on new teachers. Oh yeah, subs. And so subs are way, way, way down on the list, but sometimes that causes major problems. So they're dealing with a lot of issues besides just substitute teachers.
Okay. What are the issues that they're dealing with?
Well, employment issues, so those that need to not have their contract renewed. They're also out on the road, particularly right now, recruiting, so they're going to the different universities, they're going to different places.
Why is it important you know all this stuff? Well, what does this matter to your selling process?
Well, just like last week, I talked to one client and I said, okay, can we set up a time next week? Because she said, we've got to do it, we've got to do it now. Great, can I meet with you next week? Oh, I'm on the road till May 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Are most of your people on the road right now?
Well, a lot of them
A lot of them
yeah.
are. See, these are really important things to know. For example, if you know your client has 5 little kids under the age of 10, last week was a bad time to talk to that client. Why is that? It was spring break. You know these things. You know what's going on. Okay, so you know the fact that they're very busy. Who else would like to join in and what's going on? Russell, what's going on in their mind when they are prospecting?
Well, this may be a little bit bigger, but I made a huge mistake the very first day I started to launch my first business 10 years ago. I had this informational meeting, sends out invitations, and I was ready to mail them. The first meeting was going to be on July 24th.
You're from North Carolina. That's a problem, being from North Carolina. Don't you know what's going on here on July 24th? We take a pig up into the hills and kill it in the celebration of the pioneers coming, man.
So I was going to have this meeting on July 4th, and
Yeah.
an advisor of mine says, no. I said, well, yes.
Okay, so knowing the buying habits of what's going on.
Well, I think with business owners, the first thing they hear is how expensive is it?
With you?
Yeah, how expensive. I can't afford overhead. You're not sales. You're not marketing.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have to have it.
Okay, he just listed 5 things that ought to be written down. You want to remember this because I'm going to give you an assignment right now to do when you get back. What's going on in their mind with you? Groove?
Why they should spend the money with, A, on anything printed or promotional, and B, why with me? Because
And-
there's Vistaprint and Gotprint and
Some of these other online type people.
Relationship, transactional, cheaper.
So you know what's going on in their mind. Interesting. This is probably one of the most key concepts of marketing, and that is not knowing as much about your business as you do about theirs. Think about that for a minute. If you know what is going on inside of their head, then you're going to be able to address it. And I'm going to show you a tool that works all the time. Does anybody else want to join in on this? Oh, okay, I'll get you go first then, Jared. Jared, you go first, because he's new.
Talk about knowing your customers. I've started over in the same industry 3 times, and each time I've been able to do it because I had a handful of customers that I knew their business better than they knew their business.
They love that.
And they were my golden child that allowed.
You are not in the printing business, really. You are in the problem-solving business. That's how you all have to make your living. You're not in the HR business. You're not in coaching. You're not in the sales magazine printing business, Hal. What do you think you are? Sorry. It's an interesting thought process. What were you going to say?
Exactly what you said, and kind of what Jared was saying, where we end up being in more of a problem-solving business. I just did a brain dump, and customers are always thinking about cost, pay too much, time constraints, port regulations, strikes, quality issues, certifications on product we produce, and shipping and delivery. So we provide all of that, and so we know that if one thing's a problem, potentially there's 5 other problems that they're also experiencing. So it becomes pretty much a relational issue, and we have to kind of delve in and find out.
Yeah, I know. I've known Stephen for years, and if he was not a man, he'd be a woman. Because this is a compliment on all the girls in the room, women are better at this relational type stuff. They're better at figuring out what's going on. Sorry, no. No, not here. I would not do that in the open, It's a real skill that women are innate with it. That's a compliment. I'm not being prejudiced or anything like that, but they're more on figuring out other people and, having a connection and things. Jared?
To me, a thermometer that I use on kind of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
how much you're a problem solver or how relational, is how often do your customers contact you to get advice on something that you don't do?
Don't you love that?
Where should I buy a piano? What cell phone carrier do you like? Where should I get my mom that? And to me, if you're getting that from your customers,
You're there. That's exactly what you want. See, the problem is when you cross this bridge, their hands are up a little bit because they know there's that relationship that you're trying to sell something and they don't want to buy it. Great book. There's a book by Dan Kennedy called The No BS Guide to Management. This class is not about management, but there's a page in there that just makes me laugh. In column number 1, what is on the mind of your employees? Column number 2, what's on the mind of the boss? Again, getting into the minds of people. There's only one thing on the mind of the boss. What do you think that is? What's on the mind of the boss, the guy who owns the company? What is he thinking or she thinking about? Are you making any money? Are you making me any money? On the employee side, how am I going to get my kids to soccer practice today? Why do I have to come in so early? Is there lunch breaks? Just down the road. If any of you have had employees, you've gone through this. I have, and it's just the way it is. And you probably know this the best, all these things that are on their mind.
Yeah, I think, the business owners want to make money, but by the time they start out employees, they want other people to make that money so they can have a better life.
Yeah.
The business owners is working 70, 80, 90 hours a week.
Yep.
And they bring on people thinking, oh, that will relieve a burden on me. I can actually go home. Mm-hmm. But now they got to manage an employee.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're all having conversations in our mind. When we walk into Walmart, for example, which is a very familiar place to me, what is going on in my mind? A couple of things. What is going on in your mind when you walk into Walmart?
that's hilarious.
Okay, that's not what you're thinking.
Or did I just see that?
What are you thinking when you're walking into Walmart?
Why do they have 40 registers and 2 people on?
That's exactly what you're thinking. My biggest fear is, how long is it going to take for me to get out today? What are you going to say, Bryce?
Same thing, like, gosh, I gotta go find this, what I'm looking for.
Yeah, or can I find it because it's so huge and stuff like that?